Hey guys, this is Mr. H. I'm doing question number 3 from the June 2024 Algebra 1 Regents exam. Basically, this question is just testing your knowledge of the exponent properties, right? But let's say you didn't really understand the exponent properties, or you've forgotten the exponent properties, and you're not sure which one is true. Maybe you can eliminate a couple, but you're not sure which one it is. So you can use the calculator, but you just have to be smart. So it just says rich equation is always true. That's the key word. Those are the key words here. Always true. Not occasionally true, but always true. So that means no matter what numbers you use, you should always get a true statement. Now, so that's what we're going to try to do. Now, I'm going to start with the first one, and the first one is the answer, because that's just the exponent properties. But I'm going to show you, even if you didn't know it was number 1, how you would do this. So look, I'm just going to go from here. I'm going to get my calculator. Now, it doesn't matter what number you use, but generally try to stay away from 0 and 1. So I'm going to choose a number, let's say 2.5, and I'm going to store that into the variable x, right? So control and then the variable key allows you to store. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in each one of these. In fact, let me make this smaller so I can put both of these up at the same time. So all I'm going to do is I am going to, well, if I can get my, yeah, there it is. I am just going to type in this equation. So it's just going to be x squared times x to the third power. And then I'm going to actually use the equal sign. Whenever you use the equal sign, it's either going to give you a true or a false. That's the only two options you're going to get. And then I'm just going to say x to the 5th power, right? And then I press enter. And I get a true statement. So we could say, okay, I used the number, it was a decimal, I got a true statement. But maybe I just happen to choose the right number that makes that equation true, right? So now let me try a different number. I'm going to use 8.2. And now I'm going to store that into x. And then I'm going to go up here. And I'm just going to copy the equation again, and then press enter. And I still get a true statement. So now I'm pretty convinced that this is the one one equation that's always going to be true. Now, I'm going to do one thing. I'm just going to use the second one just to show you that it's not the numbers that I'm using. So I'm going to do 3x times 3 squared. And then I'm going to say equals 9 to the 2x power. And I get a false. So I used that number in one equation and got a true. I used the same number in a different equation, I got a false. I could probably go through and do all of them. I'm going to do, instead of putting a negative z squared, I'm going to do a negative x squared. So I don't want to, I'm going to do a negative x squared equals x squared, right? Again, I get a false, right? Now this one down here, I would need two variables to store into a and b, but I'm not going to do that because I'm convinced now that it's number 1. So I did more than I needed to do, but what I wanted to show you is whenever you're given something like this, when it says always true, then that means one of these statements, one of these equations, no matter what numbers you use, it's always going to make it true. But you should choose good numbers. And what I mean by that is use numbers that you wouldn't necessarily see, like 2.34 or 8.6, because that means this is saying no matter what numbers you use, you should always get a true statement. And this is what we just saw. So the answer for this is number 1. And I hope I've showed you that storing a number and then just keying in the equations or inequalities, for instance, is a good test-taking strategy. All right, I'm going to stop and I'm going to post this.